So what are the three areas, Noel? You've got my...
Three areas. Joint problem solving. So you've got this looking at skills and effect. I'm going to read a little bit here. So if my eyes go off, I'm going off to a screen. Apologies, he says, looking at the camera. So joint problem solving, looking at skills and effectiveness in negotiating about problems and implementing solutions. Okay, but that's all the types of problems and solutions. So it's just the everyday stuff, like how have you sorted out who does the washing up? How have you sorted out who puts the trash out? How have you sorted out X, Y, and Z? All the everyday stuff. Who does the shopping? How, when, and why? Have you thought about that? Is this a point of friction? Etc. Etc. So all of that everyday maintenance stuff in any home, in any relationship, and the daily activities, and then also the out of the ordinary stuff, the stressful arguments that might break out. So really, you're looking at the capacity of the couple or the individual often, but the couple and the individual within that couple to sort of resolve conflicts and crucially. This communication tool. So you've got resolving conflict, and notice I'm not talking about avoiding conflicts. Now, there has been new research recently, and I should put this caveat on. There's new research recently that says avoiding conflict may well be a good relationship skill. Avoiding needless conflict.
Right.
Okay. So I think in this field, many of us, and you're nodding, going, "Oh, that's interesting," because you know, as therapists, we've said for a long time, don't avoid conflict.
There's nothing like a good fight.
Absolutely, right? You know, get it out in the open, sort it out. Don't sit on that conflict.
Yeah.
Well, there's new research, and we'll have to see where this goes. It's suggesting that actually conflict avoidance may be a really useful skill in a relationship.
Right.
And I want to link that to the third area that we're going to look at, which is emotional climate. So I'll put that on hold and come back to that, why that might be the case. But anyway, conflict is inevitable because that's life. So given that truth, then conflict resolution skills are necessary. Yeah.
So that's a skill set that both partners need to build, I guess.
Absolutely, and you know, it's a skill set that a lot of people need. Full stop. Actually, it's not just but in intimate relationships, because we're being vulnerable and open. Ideally, that's what we are. If something goes wrong, it can be really, really quite shocking, right?
Yeah.
The emotional experience, because you're open and vulnerable. Oh my God!
It's where we get hurt the most, I guess. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. So the skill set is particularly needed there. And crucial in that is this communication skill set, looking at how to communicate conflict verbally. Now, here is the recovery frame is crucial in this one because this concept of denial. One partner is often in denial of their needs, and it's often the non-addict partner.
Right. Yeah.
Because the addict, if it's an addict partnership, the addict has gone into recovery, so they've dealt with their denial. But the partner may well be in denial.
Yeah.
Also may well be trauma as well.
Yeah. So could you talk us through what that might look like? Maybe I can.
Well, if there are. I'm trying to think about. There's two ways of thinking about it. One is that the person is in denial of their own part in colluding with that person's addiction. Okay. Now that seems like a harsh thing to say. I don't mean it in that way. That's a very clinical way of saying it. What do I mean by this? The non-addict partner in an addictive relationship. Okay. If they're not an addict themselves, so if it wasn't co-addiction. They're both supporting each other's addiction. So one person is clearly chemically dependent, using stuff, the other person isn't. Inevitably, because we are systems, because we are formed of relationships, it's not possible for the non-addict person to be completely cut off and isolated without help, without some really good help. Most people don't have that. So they have formed their identity in relationship to that other person. Of course, that's what happens. Ideally, that's what we do in relationships. We are vulnerable and open, and we change because of the person that we're involved with, right?
Yeah.
They're highly dysfunctional. What happens to us? Well, we become.
Yeah. So we evolve in response to that dysfunctional.
So it's not. I'm not blaming here. I'm just saying it's inevitable unless people spot it early on and get a lot of help.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not blaming. And there may be trauma issues on the part of the non-chemically dependent addict, etc., that they're not aware of.
Yeah.
Okay, so part of the denial is that. Part of the denial is their part in the relationship of supporting the addiction. Okay, so the caretaking or the collusion or the walking on eggshell stuff that they had to do because they were avoiding conflict, negative forms of aggression and stuff like that. All of this sort of stuff is part and parcel of, and then the minimization strategies that people might use. It wasn't really that bad, and because they don't want to face the fact that it was really, really horrible. The third area is emotional climate, and I think this is what links to the research around avoiding conflict. Right, so the emotional climate is the background noise of any relationship, right? You want the background noise, the music in the relationship, to be loving and kind and supportive, not to be scratchy, horrible, noisy, shouty, right? So you're looking at this emotional climate, looking at reciprocal attachment issues, commitment, caring, empathy, mutual respect and regard, these core things that need to exist just to live on this planet, right? These are core issues about being a decent human being.
Yeah, we need these things in our lives, in our relationships. Yeah.
We are social animals, end of. This is it. This is what you do. Social grooming, right? Okay. Finding the points at which you fit and can support somebody and love somebody and express that in really practical terms. So the eye kissing, as they talk about in America. Kissing with the eyes. All that sort of stuff. Touching, feeling, appropriate displays of affection. So that you want that mood music in a relationship to be positive, supportive, attachment focused, loving focused, right?
So I guess when the couple comes in, you might see in their questionnaire that the emotional atmosphere is really unsupportive, difficult, scratchy.
Yeah, we call it intimacy, right? Intimacy skills is another way of saying it. But often it presents itself as a lack of sexual engagement. Now, that sexual functioning may be being messed up by the drink and drugs anyway.
Yeah.
So there's that. Or if it's porn addiction, it definitely will be, right? If it's sex addiction, it definitely will be. Okay. So there's some practical issues to sort out there. But if there's sexual functioning, often is sexual functioning problems. If there isn't specific issues in childhood around that, it's often a good indicator that intimacy is broken down. Okay. So people might come and say, look, we're just not having sex anymore, and whatever. Give us a quick fix to that. And there isn't a quick fix because it's about re-establishing intimacy. Yeah.
And that's the whole emotional climate, just not those moments of sexual contact.
Well, the sexual contact will come, I guarantee you. It'll come. Sorry about that pun. Whoops. It will happen, right? It'll happen. The sexual climate will happen. If there is no specific dysfunction that has come through the addiction or from childhood, like, I work with some people who were exposed to porn as children by their fathers, and there's a lot of work to be done around there about self-image and self-hatred and all that sort of stuff. That's not about this intimacy issue. But if the emotional intimacy, if the emotional climate is non-intimate, so either cold or aggressive and whatever, then sexual functioning is going to be. But that will come. So I guess what I'm saying is don't focus on the sexual functioning. Just reassure people it'll come. Do this. What I'm suggesting is you go to the coffee shop and learn to hold hands and have a cake together.
Yeah.
And then in a few months' time, I promise you, sex will be happening if you do these things.
Yeah.
So go back to basics. What did you do dating? What sort of exercises did you like? What sort of things did you like doing dating? Have you tried a bit of massage? Have you tried a bit of And then thinking about the endocrine system, so you're reducing stress.
Yeah.
relaxation, the whole stuff, mood music, all that, right? Connected to that is what Ken was talking about, was using this TA model of the child, parent, adult, and then he puts into it this higher self concept, which is very much a 12-step recovery concept, which I explained before as help-seeking behaviour as a psychotherapist.
Yeah.
If you're in recovery, I apologise. You may find that offensive. I don't mean it to be. I really do apologise. But I'm trying to translate here roughly. So the spiritual core of 12-step recovery is this concept of higher power, spiritual progress, growth through pain, through understanding, etc. So Ken was presenting this notion that in a functioning relationship, we have these TA things going on. You obviously want parent-parent communication between two adults, right? Adult-adult communication, and also child-child communication. So the parent self is the action bit of us. The child self is the feeling, emotional bit of us. And the adult self is the rational thinking bit of us. And then the higher self, as he presents it, is the loving, intuitive, informed, engaged, vulnerable, the ideal. Yeah? So this higher self provides this meta frame in the recovering relationship. What we're trying to achieve, and sometimes we call it a top line.
Okay.
So in process addictions, you've got bottom lines. I won't do that because that's an expression of my addiction. In chemical dependency, we call it abstinence. I won't drink because that's an expression of my alcoholism. Then you have top lines. The top line in alcoholism is I'll be neutral about alcohol, so I can go in and out of wet spaces and it doesn't bother me. I'm not interested and I'm not bothered by other people who are active in their addiction. The top line here in the codependent recovering relationship is this ideal of intuition, emotional self, higher self-engagement, higher power engagement. So the power dynamics stop being transactional. The power is invested in this ideal. It's no longer squabbled over because it's invested in the ideal. And then you can focus on the skills and tools that you need to achieve that higher state of being or higher state of consciousness, a higher experience. Now, John, I have to say that is probably one of the most radically powerful concepts in any relationship therapy I've ever come across. That your task in a recovering relationship is to be your best self in regards to that person, to be your most intuitive, most in touch, most loving thing that you can possibly be in that moment. Now, what relationship is going to fail if both people are doing that?
Absolutely.
Seriously, right?
Yeah, it just cannot fail. I mean, that just is,
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And at the same time as that, in the recovering relationship, you've got a whole mass of tools. I've just described one of them, TA. So you give people that tool. You say, well, which bit of you is talking here to that person? Your child. Should your child be talking to them or should your adult be talking to them? Which one? Yeah. Right, so you've got a whole mass of tools here. You've got all the steps themselves, which are tools. Okay? Then you've got the rooms themselves, which are tools that people can engage with. It's absolutely phenomenal. And then you've got this higher purpose. My purpose on this planet is to be the most loving person that I can be. Wow!
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. To me, to you, to my children. Yeah? Yeah. Now that's so powerful, John. I'll leave you with Ken's last two questions. His final two questions on the day, I think, are beautiful questions. He says, when his time is up, when he's checking out, he wants to have a conversation with his higher power, his higher self. That says, and he's going to ask himself two questions. Did I love and did I love well?
Okay.
Wow.
Wow.
So did you love, John, and did you love well? It's not complicated. It's really simple stuff, right?
But so profoundly significant to how we live.
I think.
No, that is just... a fantastic way to leave this discussion.
Okay.
I think I just
Right.
so appreciate you kind of landing us there, because you've taken us through some really powerful, some controversial, definitely moving parts of relationship and therapy, and just to to finish with those two questions. Wow,
Yeah.
thank you.
I'm going to ponder them.
Yes, yes,
Right.
something to
Thanks,
keep
John.
coming back to.